Clearly, we are just not getting an understanding out there. I think to a degree what our tendency has been is to say we just inform people about the use tax and therefore they will pay. And I think that clearly is not the case. And I think that it's time for us then to ask ourselves why? What's happening out there? What can we do differently? And to do that, I think we need to figure out what is the attitudes of Californians when it comes to that issue. This last week, I was struck by the poll that the LA Times did. I think I mentioned it yesterday, where 82%, I think it was, or something like that, 82 or 83% of the people said they pay little or they buy little or nothing on the internet. Now, I don't know what the definition of little is, but it certainly struck me that that's a figure that caught me off guard. And that was a poll. That wasn't just somebody's just little survey. That was a poll. And so I'd like to know more about that. I'd like to know more about that in regards to who, when they say little, what's little? I'd like to know a little bit more so that we can make good decisions in regards to that. The other issue that we are, I think, and again, in the context of use tax and all these discussions that are taking place, the LA Times had an editorial this weekend where, again, they don't credit the BOE very well with our education to use tax, and think, in fact, they call us out that we don't. And so my thought is that I think it's good to do these surveys. We interface a lot with taxpayers on our different events, and I think that's good information that we can use. But on the other side of that, I would really encourage us to go outside professionally to determine and measure who are those folks out there and what do they know? And how much do they purchase? And if they purchased and they didn't know, then they don't remit. But how many of them actually know and don't remit? And then what are the arguments that can be made in order to help motivate and change their behavior? Because ultimately that's what we should be doing, is we should be trying to figure out how to change their behavior. I was struck listening to the radio as I was thinking about this, and all of a sudden a commercial came on for Cal Recycle. And I thought, you know, we're spending millions of dollars on helping people to know how often they need to change their oil. They don't need to do it every 6,000. They only need to do it every 3. We're telling them not to throw their batteries away. And so we're spending millions of dollars to educate the public at that point. But yet we're not spending any money, really, on educating the public in regards to the issue of use tax, and we don't even know what arguments to use for them if we were going to educate them. So my opinion is that this is a very little investment for what could be a very big return for us to try to enhance then and help people understand the responsibility of use tax. So I appreciate the information, and I would hope that we could ask the staff to move forward in order to both do their own surveying internally in our people, but also go externally and get some good information that then we can create a strategy out there as to how we can communicate.